Hey everybody, how you doing? It's been a couple weeks since I got a video in, so I wanted to. I think it's been about 2.5 weeks probably. So there's been a lot going on. Been very busy. Want to get everybody caught up on a few things that's been going on and some things that are upcoming. So I'm gonna be showing again from my desktop here a few things from my website, the collectorarthouse.com website. So I added a few behind the art features here. There was some exciting developments in the tabletop simulator release, which came out on or around September 4th. So that was about a week ago. I think there were 400 total cards included in that. So we're getting very close to seeing what could potentially be the final alpha set. However, we need to caveat that they're doing a beta testing cycle with the community. So I think there's around 300 testers or so that registered across the community. People are playing games around the clock every day and providing great feedback to the team to try to make some final adjustments before they go to final print, presumably. Um, so these 400 cards, and by the way, that does not include the token cards or no, it did not in the 400 that I received. I got from the team 3 folders, which included the sites, the spell cards, and the avatars. And there's 400 cards total across those. So it does not include alternate arts like we're going to see in the pledge packs when they fulfill the Kickstarter, nor the tokens and things like that, right? So we've seen probably what might constitute the final set, with the caveat that as more testing goes on, they could decide to change any given card or even remove a card and add other cards. In this latest update, actually, that will cue me to go to the cards page. Um, so the way I have this set up is I like to bin the cards by artist. So you go click on the artist image and you can see what cards they contributed to the game, because I'm really into the art and built some great relationships with a lot of artists across the community. But also, if you look at the sub pages here, you see what I just mentioned: the avatars, the sites, and the spells. The tokens are from the last release, so I'm assuming that those did not change. You could get all the cards from this link here, and then you have the cards that were added to the September update. So those were, let me just go there really quick. Those were cards that were introduced into this release that were not in the prior TTS update. So the Belfry here was a new card. The Black Obelisk, that name changed, I remember, from previous. Boneyard name changed. This Candlemas Monks, really awesome artwork by Andrea Modesti. You can see how he works in watercolors, but the vibe of this card is pretty cool and pretty different from his others. If you go look through his folder and the cards that he produced, Death was a major release from Matthias Frisk. Incredible artwork there. Just looks so cool. And also Exorcism from him was a new card introduced. Some of these were in there in prior releases or previously revealed and just added back in, like Highland Princess. Leap Attack was a new one from Gadu. And then we have the Moon Clan Werewolf was a really popular one from Alan Pollock. So just to name a few there. Oh, and you can't forget the Gems by Melissa Benson. These are really incredible. It gives you that the MTG Mox type vibes, where the site gives you an additional threshold mana and one generic. So that's pretty exciting. All the artworks there are really cool. So that's kind of a quick summary of what's added. And the Color Out of Space. This was a massive one from Brian Smith, and then also Vaults of Zool from Tony Sudlow. Those were really cool. One quick story here on Witherwing Hero. This was actually a different artwork very early into the game design, and then Eric ended up selecting or using a different one that Vincent had created. They were both by Vincent. I believe the name was the same, but it was an entirely different artwork. And this one is just really incredible. I love this. I love Vincent's work in general, but just the watercolor work he does, and just the look at that background. Like, not many people would kind of creatively think to do a background like that, and just the color. It just has like an old school classic vibe about it too. It's really really sweet, and that's a unique, So that's going to be a special card and pretty rare to find. So that's just one sub page. If you also go here, something else interesting to look at is the cards that were removed from the September update. So there's some big time bangers here that were removed, and I would assume that these are probably just being redesigned. Some of these, at least. Maybe some will be actually removed or used in a future set, but stands a reason, and maybe some of these will just be redesigned, because there's some very significant cards here, like the Book of Kells, a unique relic, and then you have a Frank Frazetta artwork. I gotta imagine Eric's gonna find a way to include that in the set, or maybe he'll hold it for the next one. Who knows? Mask of Mayhem was a big one by Dan Seagrave, and then you notice here there's a few counter spells that were removed, so maybe they're rethinking how they'll do counter spells in the game. There's another one from Jussie Pilkus, the unique counter spell, and then the Tower of Babel, which was a unique card for one, but also a distinct card in that it was synergistic with the Tower of Babel, or the Apex and the bottom, right? So there was like a game mechanic where you had to kind of pair those on top of each other to make the effect happen, and kind of a tricky, complicated design that I think they're trying to work through. So there's a couple references for you. I also left in here cards removed from the 23 May update, which was the one that preceded this one in September. So you could go back, and here's a few examples, right? Like the Unland Angler, that was removed, but then it was introduced back in. So there's an example that they're just doing some redesign, and if it doesn't fit and it doesn't make sense for playtesting, there's no reason to put in the tabletop simulator for people to test with. And I think that's likely the case for Predestination as well, which is we saw the Team Covenant guys pull that as a sample card in their opening. And you see the effect is you determine random outcomes until the end of the turn. So that's random outcomes. That's going to be dependent on synergies with other cards. And since this is a unique and you can only play one of these in your deck, and then there's only so many synergies that or other cards that have random outcomes, the utility of this card, if it stays in that state, is pretty limited. And Eric actually said that in Discord many months ago. I think it was earlier this year, or maybe even late last year. So things have changed. A lot of cards have been redesigned, but that's a reason why you probably don't see that in the Tabletop Simulator update. It doesn't mean necessarily that it's out. And then here's another example where Melissa's gem was in the last May update. It was actually removed in the last May update. That's the page we're looking at. And then it was introduced back in September here. So some interesting ones here. That's just there for reference. You see this is another one that was removed in May but added back in September. I think that's all I wanted to show for the update. So all of these folders for each of the artists, and then those summary folders here for all cards, and then added to the September update, removed from the September update. That's all here under Sorcery Cards on the CollectorArthouse.com website. The other thing I wanted to show is we recently did an embellished print sale. So I work with Vincent Pompetti, who's one of the artists from Sorcery, and he was kind enough to do 10 of these hand-embellished prints of this champion card, which is a prize card that's being given to or included in the Innkeeper Pledge, which is the pledge from brick and mortar stores who backed the Kickstarter. So they will get 24 copies of this card. I'm calling it a prize card because when you go look at it in the Kickstarter campaign, it's called the Champion, and it's not like a playable card. It describes that you are the victor and the champion. So it stands to reason that's to encourage local game store competitive play, or fun, maybe learn to play type events or whatever, however they want to do it. But I'm coining that a prize card, and therefore it has special significance in that regard as the first prize card for Sorcery. So I talked to Vincent and I asked him, can we do something, a homage to Alpha or some kind of like special embellished print that we can offer to the fans of the game. So I did an auction with a couple of those, and then I opened a Patreon recently where I offer priority to some of the backers in Patreon because these are very limited. There's only 10 copies. So I auctioned a few to try to make it available to the general public, and then I need to reward supporters that help me do what I do and all the time I invest in trying to get the word out on Sorcery and develop content through the website, through my YouTube, through my Discord channel, and everything I'm doing across those platforms. So what he did is it was pretty cool. Like initially I was like, hey, let's do some, the Alpha logo somewhere. And I won't belabor this too much. I talked about it in my last video, and you can go see it there. But he did something unique for each of these. So they were pretty special, and it was very successful. That's the point I wanted to make here, that all of these sold out, I think, within the first 24 hours after I did the auction. I offered 2 to the general public for starters. That helped establish a certain price point, and then I offered a discount relative to that price to my Patreon supporters, and they all sold, the first night I announced that, or within a day or so. And those are all, now arriving to people, and I think the last ones arrive tomorrow. So good for them. They're beautiful artworks and really cool. So speaking of the Patreon, I want to go here. I want to thank the 12 supporters who signed up in the early days here. Um, really appreciate their support, and I just kind of wanted to give a behind-the-scenes sneak preview of what I offer there. I won't go through all the tiers. You can just go to patreon.com. Collector Arthouse is the name of the Patreon, and see if it makes sense for you. But one of the key benefits I offer is that I work with many of the sorcery artists. One of them is Severin Pignot in France, and she is one of the, I'd say, one of the top artists in sorcery, because she's incredible talent for one, but she has a lot of very special cards in the set. And what I'm showing here is the 4 elemental avatars and the Philosopher's Stone artwork, which several people have coined as the Black Lotus, basically, of sorcery, because it's a super powerful, unique card, and kind of a game changer if you pull that into play, or draw it in your deck for play. So our initial thought was to do the top 5 cards that she did, arguably some of the top 5 in the entire alpha set. We want to do a special tribute to those. So these original artworks went to the 4 Avatar of the Realm backers. So only 4 people are going to have one of those original arts. And so this is the next best opportunity. She did an embellishment of these where, if you see, I don't know if I could zoom too much. Yeah, you probably won't see it here. I should be getting these in the mail early this week, maybe as soon as tomorrow. So I'm super pumped about those. You see the creasing here. I think she put them in a acid-free bag, which I also use for shipping to kind of protect the face of artwork. You could see that on the periphery there, but she did like accents, really beautifully done, very meticulously done around like the butterflies and the birds and the face of the Avatar of Wind here. And then likewise for the others. And then for the Philosopher's Stone, this was a really incredible idea that she had. So initially, I was thinking, like, where could we embed the Alpha symbol as a homage to Alpha, like I did with Vincent's? And I was thinking, maybe we do it within the stone, or at least by her signature, or somewhere within the artwork. But when talking to Severin, she actually came up with an even better idea. And it's amazing she was able to pull this off. But she was able to get these printed with this, with the stone in the middle completely removed. So everything else is printed. And it's a very nice print. She does this very tasteful border around the periphery, and then down here she has the name of the piece and her name and kind of her signature logo, and then she'll sign it and number it. These are going to be numbered 1 to 10, so 10 copies of each of these artworks that you see here. That's why you see a stack of each. But on the stone, she printed it without the stone, and then she completely hand-painted, replicated this stone with acrylic paint and then gold leaf accents. So those are kind of like the specs you see on here. She sprinkled some gold leaf. And I think I actually, yeah, so I shared some pictures with Patreons here, or patrons. Here you get a closer up. See how beautiful that stone is? Really pops. That's going to feel like an original painting, because it is. She repainted that in its entirety. Took her quite a while to do that too. So I'm very thankful that she was even willing to invest, several hours per piece to pull this off. So that's going to be really gorgeous. That's what the finished product looks like. And then if you go to each, this kind of blows up awkwardly, but here you see her sprinkling the gold leaf. You can kind of see that's how that effect works, and it gives it a little texture and a little character on the stone. And scrolling to the next image, a closer up look like that. Each one's going to be slightly different in that regard, the way she sprinkles it on. And then, again, this is just a front view of the finished product, so that's what it'll look like. So anyway, that's the Patreon. If people want to pledge there, the way I do it is I give priority to the highest backers, and then go on down the list until they're sold. And then if they don't sell out to Patreon, so I'll always auction too. With the arrangement I work out with the artists is I'll auction the 1 of 10, and the 10 of 10. Those are the 2 premium ones. I'll offer those to the general public through the Sorcery Contested Realm fan page and marketplace Facebook group, and then also on my Collector Arthouse Discord. I do both of those simultaneously, and I update bids from both. So you could join my Collector Arthouse Discord, or you can join the Facebook group and bid there on the 1 of 10 and the 10 of 10. That'll probably be coming up as soon as later this week, or next weekend at the latest, most likely. I'd like to get those sold and establish a price point, and then I will offer priority to patrons for the remaining ones. And then any that don't sell, again, I'll offer to the general public in some way. But I work with many of the artists. I want to get back to the Vincent one. The reason why I showed that is because that was the first test of hand embellished prints. I know the demand for the Philosopher's Stone, since it's such a massively iconic and powerful card, is through the roof. It's huge. I know that's going to sell out right away. The Vincent one was the first test though of something different from like one of the more staple cards, even though it's a prize card. That might matter to players more so than the masses who are going to actually play it in their play deck, or just art fans, right? So the point of that being successful, why that's important, is because this is a significant investment of the artist's time. It's very gracious of them to do that. They often want to create new and not do something repetitive, like do the same thing 10 times. That's time consuming. It's potentially not the most lucrative, but the Vincent one being successful says that there's merit in doing that, so hopefully that'll help me convince other artists to do something similar. So I'll probably run some polls through with my patrons and let them kind of dictate priority on what they prefer. And then if it's artists I already work with, perfect. That hopefully they'll agree to do it, and seeing that the others have been successful, or maybe I can reach out to other artists and bring those to fruition for people. The last thing I wanted to mention here is the auctions we're doing on sample cards. So going back to my website, if you go to, where did I put this? The collector's corner, and then a little clunky the way this works, this banner. All right, so sample card collections, right? I'm going, and this is a work in progress. I'm working to build this up, but I'm going to post the image. These are the images I used for the auction themselves. So these are all the sample cards for auctions that I have run through the Facebook group and or Discord. The Discord wasn't stood up early on, so I was only doing it through the Facebook group. Now every auction I run is mirrored in both. And that was a smart move because a lot of people don't want to deal with Facebook, don't have Facebook accounts, or they're just not on there that much, right? So we've gotten a lot of bids through Discord, and that's been a great success and has opened a door for a lot more people to acquire these sample cards. So I built this page. I'm listing all the cards that were auctioned. You see these nice pictures of each that were auctioned. I'm going to go back and add the price, right? Because that's where the value is. There's a couple points to be made here. The price history will give us some historical precedent for what these things have sold for, just like in an eBay sold listings. People often reference that to figure out reasonable valuation for different cards, individual cards, or cards of like rarity, or whatever the case may be. So I think this is a great service to the community to have this page publicly available. And then also, another point I wanted to make beyond the price is having that price history. Is that if you look at the sampling of cards that have been sold, you see, going again all the way from the top, there's a lot of spell cards, right? And then you got to go all the way down to the bottom here, and this isn't complete just yet, but it has most of the sales I've done. Only 4 Atlas cards. So these Atlas site cards are pretty rare. We're not seeing a lot of these pulled from packs, So I think the quantity of these out in the wild, from the giveaways and what's been given to pledgers thus far, and then what we're going to see from Kickstarter fulfillments, we're not likely to see a lot of these site cards. So I think those are kind of going to be some of the more rare sample cards that exist for Sorcery, and could dictate a premium for those. Some of these did very well. I remember the Old Growth Forest was a pretty high value seller. That's an Ian Miller artwork, and he's massively popular, so I wasn't surprised by that. And just an incredible artwork there. But these are all incredible artworks too in their own right. Like this Lone Tower, amazing. Mikkel does amazing work. I auctioned a repaint for a couple of his, and off the cuff, was it the Lone Tower or the Dark Tower? It was, I forget which of the two of these was, but it looks like a spitting image of the first one he did, which is super impressive. He did it like in a weekend, which is amazing. And the long pull is the drying time, so that takes like almost a month to ship when he does something like that. But it's just incredible that you can replicate something with that kind of detail and just color quality, making it look so exacting. But anyway, that's the point I wanted to make, a distinction between the spells and the site cards, and just the rarity of those. Um, the other thing about sample cards is that I showed a comparison, and I think I have the image right. Yeah, I talked about this in a prior video where we have the cards coming from the sample packs. These are the silver packs, and then the pre-con decks. Both of these are from pre-con decks. Different owners of pre-con decks. So this proved a couple things. The pre-con decks appeared to be printed and distributed same time. You know, that you could tell the color tones are the same, but the silver packs were different, and they're distinctly different, especially when you show them side by side. You know, this looks more goldish versus you know, some of the tones here you see on the border of this spellbook card back. And you know what? Maybe I could do an Atlas backing compare too. Just thought of that if I can get my hands on some more of those. But in any case, a statement made by the company was that the silver packs are going to be the same as the art packs. Um, so what I'm referring to there, and I will go ahead and give these guys a shout out. Tabletop Royale. These guys do really good gameplay coverage. They just have a good demeanor. They're articulate guys. They're into the game. They made a bunch of videos of them playing. So if you want to see gameplay, go check out this Tabletop Royale channel. They have over 1,000 subs. So they've been doing it for a while. You know, they're doing well. I have 150 subs, but you know, I was born a month ago. These guys have been at it for a while. They're gamers. They have over 1,000. So cool channel. Really represent the game well. But anyway, this is what I mean by the art packs. So these are the ones with the artwork printed on the pack, right? And then the silver packs have no artwork printed on the pack. And those are the ones we're going to be getting from Kickstarter fulfillment. But the update I wanted to share here is that these art packs were, you know, we saw these given to Team Covenant. This particular video that I'm showing here, Sorcery Contested Realm gameplay and first edition test pack opening. These guys received one test pack, and it was the art pack, and they did a giveaway event, and you could go watch them play the game, and then through the giveaway, they pulled a unique, which was the Donnybrook Inn by Vasily Ermolayev, and awesome artwork. Super lucky of this guy Hain. I think he lives in Japan. That won that giveaway. So good for him. Super cool card, and the first I've seen pulled of that card, and it's a unique. You know, so you know that's insanely rare. But anyway, these were given to a few folks. There's another person that received one of these. It's not me. It's not my pack, but someone reached out to me and said like, hey, you know, I'm thinking about selling some of these for one of these art packs that they just recently got. So I'm getting 11 of those out of a pack of 15 cards from this person, and I'm going to be offering those for auction. But the reason why I'm bringing that up is that that's going to give us another data point here to say to compare a silver pack card to an art pack card and see, are those, you know, they said they're the same, right? So I think that means that the pool of cards from that print file are the same. But were they printed at the same time? Were they printed from the same printer? Probably yes. But I'm curious if the back is going to look exactly like the silver packs. And then we could kind of, I think it's fair to characterize those in a category of their own, where you have sample card packs is one category. It doesn't matter if they're silver packs or art packs, they're the same. Maybe the same print file, maybe they look exactly the same, then they're truly the same. And then you have the precons, which are a different category because they look visibly different, right? And the population of these, I only know of 4 people that received these precon decks. It was Louis from Kitchen Table TCG. It was Kodak, which is another YouTuber. Arsenal Pass, another YouTuber, but they specialize in Flesh and Blood, so I don't know that they even ever did anything with them, tried the game or gave them away or kept them. I think they probably just have them. You know, they're probably sitting on them. I don't know, but that's 3. And then what was the 4th? Precon decks. Losing my train of thought on the 4th off the cuff. I wrote an article about this. There's a presumption that maybe Rudy could have one. I guess that's the 3 that we know of: Kodak, Louis from Kitchen Table, and Arsenal Pass. There was a set of precons given to Red Zone Rogue, but I went and did some data mining and since confirmed that those are not the same as these, because these were printed. They're true test prints, precon decks, meaning they were tested by an official printing company. The ones that were given the Red Zone Rogue were very early on. I think it was either late 2021 or earlier this calendar year. But they were printed at a local shop near Eric, the game creator in New Zealand. So they weren't the same breed as these. They're kind of like an anomalous special category of their own, which is super cool from a historical perspective. But I would say it's more comparable to the print and play. Where we could all go and print from the print and play and create our own cards and go to Kinko's and have them printed, or Eric did that, but Eric printed them, so they're special, they're cool. And I think Red Zone Rogue said Eric wrote on them like notes and things. So they're an awesome memoir for him. He's into the game and has been in on it pretty early on from when the team reached out to him pretty early, sometime last year. So good for him on having those. But I would not include those in like a total population of sample cards of this ilk that are out there for public consumption and to really establish a price valuation. But again, I'm going to further develop this page. If you go to my website and www.collectorarthouse.com, go to Collector's Corner, and then carefully scroll over to the sub page here, and you have the sample card collections. And then I will work on this. I'm going to go aggregate some of the other ones that we've auctioned off and update this with pricing. And it'll be a great historical record of how these things have done and how to value these if you're into it and you want to bid on more. So I got the Unland Angler from Drew Tucker's up for auction today. Ends at 8 p.m. Eastern tonight. There's 3 more that I showed in the Facebook group, all from former MTG legend types. We have a Melissa Benson. We have Doug Kovacs, the Fireball, which is like a staple card in Fire decks. And it looks super vibrant and awesome. It looks incredible in person. And then we have the Royal Bodyguard by Liz Danforth, which is a beautiful artwork and one of my early favorites, and definitely my favorite from Liz. A lot of people like her site card. Let me go to Liz's cards, and this is getting kind of long. But if we go to Liz Danforth, Mirror Realm is what it is. Here it is. This is a super popular one. That does look pretty amazing, I gotta admit, as does this Planar Gate. But this Royal Bodyguard is a really awesome card. And I think I mentioned this in a prior video again, so apologize for redundancy, but I know everyone's not watching every video. But I did a behind the art article on this, talking about the historical significance or where she got the inspiration for that card. Look at all the behind the art articles that I've written at this point. If you go to that page, you just click on any card, and it calls right up. Boom, Royal Bodyguard. And then there's a nice article about how she did that one. But go back to, behind the art. These are all great stories. They're directly from the artist. So, it's not just my own research. I'm actually going and talking to the artist of every single one of these cards. And they're telling me like what the direction was that they got from Eric to do this, and then how they came up with the design concept and refined it into what it is today. So there's a great sampling of artists. We got Tony, we got Liz Danforth, Tony again, Matthias Frisk, amazing artist. Severin, I've done several with her. Asi Haikala, more Severin, Lindsay Crumet, another artist I'll be working with. Ian Miller, that's a funny one. Go check that out. Elvira Shakarova is another artist I work with. Likewise for Vincent Pompetti. Mikhail Nagy Paul I've worked with. Got Melissa Benson. There's a few Melissa Benson gave me some details on. I got to catch up. I got to get those out there. And I did one on Screaming Skull in my Patreon. You got to be a patron to read that. But not trying to gatekeep that. I just, it was quick and easy to write an article there. It takes a little more time to develop it for my website with more images and context. But I shared that with patrons maybe a week or two ago. And then I did the Champion. And then the Color Out of Space, which is a really cool one from Brian Smith. Definitely go read that. I include like other reference images that he had done. This is a new one that folks hadn't seen yet. And then I try to get the original painting sometimes if the artists still have it or have images of it. Look at this, is cool. Brian always has this easel that looks like he's been beating the hell out of for years, and these wires hanging on the corner. I don't know if he's doing that just for it to look like pretty metal and edgy, or if that's, maybe that's for his lighting or something. I don't know, but it looks pretty sweet nevertheless. So you see his brushes and his paints and things. All right, so pretty long video here. What are we at? 30 minutes? Man, thanks for hanging in there. For my supporters, if you want to support me, I'm on Patreon now. Just look for Collector Arthouse. You can just search for it within patreon.com. Some always new stuff coming to my websites. I try to do these videos. You know, I have the Collector Arthouse YouTube channel, so try to get these out when I can, whenever I have significant updates or something fun to share. So thanks for following. Please sub and subscribe and share with the Sorcery community. Encourage the Sorcery community to join the Facebook page. I'm super active on there, always posting updates and trying to keep that a fun, interesting place to recruit new people to the game and make this more fun for all of us. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your weekend, and I'll talk to you later. Take care.